Good afternoon, everyone. It is my distinct pleasure to be with you all today. My name is Angelica, and I'm one of the volunteers here at the temple, and I will be presenting our speaker for today. Venerable Hui Dong is the abbot of Shan Temple in Hacienda Heights in LA, who is visiting us from there today. He's the Deputy Chief Secretary of BLIA, B-L-I-A North America, Executive Trustee of the University of the West. Thank you so much, and please join me to bring a warm welcome of applause for our guests.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Very happy to be here. My name is Hui Dong. I'm from LA, and Venerable Zhang, Venerable Shan, the abbess of the Hsi Fang Temple here, and Venerable Zhang invited me to just give a talk to the class, English Buddhism class here, and so some of you look familiar to me, and I'm sure you are all are in practicing Buddhism or be very interested in Buddhism. Today we're going to talk about wisdom and inner peace, especially in the Humanistic Buddhism, and it's more of a like the dialogue style, you can or discussion rather than just a lecture. And how many of you have been practicing Buddhism for some time? Like, okay, maybe 1/3 of you. So others would be either interested in Buddhism or new to the practice.
Less than a year.
Less than a year. Long enough. Yeah, it is. We say this is the wisdom and inner peace. It is very much needed today in today's world. However, what does it mean? What is inner peace? And what is the difference between the wisdom that we normally use as a term, the intelligence, and Buddhism through the practice that we cultivate through the practice of Buddhism, and in what way we can cultivate that. Especially for this temple, which is promoting what we call the Humanistic Buddhism. It's the type of Buddhism, not like in the rural or the mountains just meditate, but how to practice it in daily life. Some of you might not be familiar with the temple that I'm from, which is located in LA, Hacienda Heights. Any of you have been to? Not LA, this temple. Okay. I'm sure you all been to LA, but this temple located in LA. I just get a few pictures here. It is the largest Buddhist temple in the United States in terms of, especially in terms of its the constructions and also the scale of the Buddhist activities. And this is in the very traditional architecture of the Chinese Buddhist temple. Looks like a like a palace, just a traditional. The Ming and Qing dynasty palaces looks similar. And on the right, those pictures, because this on the top right that is, it looks like a leaf, a tree leaf. So we could Bodhi tree leaf, because of the it's the surround, the buildings complex is surrounded by the driveway and make it the shape of a tree leaf. And because of the Bodhi tree, it's a very special meaning in Buddhism. It's according to the legend, the Buddha was awakened through his cultivation, enlightened under the Bodhi tree. So this Bodhi tree has a very special meaning in Buddhism. And underneath that picture is the picture that we took from the hill across from the temple. So the other side, which is the hills that we are currently applying to the county to develop a meditation center. But it's a very difficult right now nowadays for in California to apply any place to build a religious compound. So that's the picture that we took from the other side of the road across from the street, from the temple. And this is the gate, at the gate of the temple. It has the name, Charles' name of the temple, and the main shrine on the top left. And this picture is showing the Guang headquarters in Taiwan, which is much bigger than Shilai Temple. Shilai Temple is a 15. The piece of land is 15 acres, and this is probably like 30 or 40 times bigger than the Shilai Temple. It is in Taiwan. And the first, on the right, the big Buddha, that is the tallest, the sitting Buddha statue in the world. It is sitting on a nine-story building. That's Taiwan. Right now, it is one of the must-see for the visitors, tourists. Place, must-see place for people traveling to Taiwan. And this is on the left is the monastery, and then in the middle the sutra repository, and on the right is the museum. And this picture shows the big Buddha, sitting Buddha. And also this Buddha museum. Just now every year on Christmas they conduct a event to invite all the folk religions in Taiwan to go to this Buddha museum, and the 25th of last year, is they just conducted with the 120,000 people gathering from with 4,000 folk religions in Taiwan gathered there, all to they believe to worship the Buddha. So this is the Taiwan. This is it's too small. Okay, so you can't really see it. So the reason that I want to show these pictures because I want to share with some of the new members here what is humanistic Buddhism, or like in terms of practicing in daily life, there are still different organizations and doing it in different ways. And at Shan, at this temple, and other places, other branch temples of Shan around the world, we generally practice and promote the Dharma with the 4 missions in 4 ways, different ways, through cultural events, and this is the and also this is a part of the 4th of July parade in Hacienda Heights, and we always be part of proud to be part of this big event in the community. And this picture shows the celebration of Chinese New Year. And the gentleman here just mentioned that this year, the coming celebration of the Chinese New Year Day is also on February the 17th this year. And the big crowd over there. So yeah, when you are planning to travel there, I would recommend to go there on the Chinese New Year Day, because of probably just around the temple, the traffic, it would take you probably 2 hours to get in there. So that's the big crowd there. But we celebrate this for 15 days, 2 weeks. So you can pick other days to go there, still be able to see all of the temple and all the decorations and with some events. On the right of this picture, that is the members of the youth members of the retreat of a school. Some practitioners spend a few weeks at the Hsi Fang Temple and learn and practice Buddhism, that educational program. And on top of that, above that is a picture showing the event of the Under the Moon, called Under the Moon. It's on the 15th of the 8th lunar month. That is the full moon night, and people gathered in the courtyard. There's a big courtyard at the temple, at the monastery, and the people do meditation and have some tea and moon cakes, eat moon cakes, and also of course to chat with each other and with the venerables, to talk about the Dharma, to talk about their lives, share with their experiences. And this is these are the pictures that shows the educational programs, and even for the kids. Each year, there are kids coming to the temple for the short-term monastic retreat. They got their head shaved, just to be novice monk for 5 days. That is the program, and some the lectures, and also the event in the communities. And this is our meditation hall, and also the celebration of the Buddha's birthday event, and some Buddhist services, and the charitable programs. This is the giving scholarships to the local communities, the students from the local communities, and especially from the low income families, and also this is the blood drive, and also the youth members and go to the senior houses to visit the seniors.
The figures is Buddha, the 3 pieces.
Yeah, this is the 3 big Buddhas in the main shrine. Yeah.
Same Buddha.
Yeah, same Buddha. But looks different because at the Hsi Fang Temple here, the skin of the Buddhas are darker. This is how the founder of Shan, the Buddhist order, and when he built the Buddha statues, even the statues, he wants to be as inclusive as we can to reflect the people around the world. It's our temple in South Africa has the Buddha statues with even darker skin. This is everyone. It shows, it gives, sending the message to everyone. Everyone, regardless their skin color, their cultural backgrounds, everyone has the potential to be awakened through the practice. And we're going to talk about what does it mean. It's all about wisdom. And this is a disaster relief that we this is the that we do it in Taiwan, Malaysia, and also here in LA area. So this is the interfaith programs each year on the first day, the New Year Day, January the 1st. We have conduct the interfaith event, Prayer for World Peace concert, and our youth orchestra, the symphony orchestra, perform, gives a performance each year on the first day and the New Year Day, and the religious leaders from LA area gather together, pray for world peace, and this year we just conducted on the New Year Day. And that is, the picture shows the founder of the Shan Buddhist order, Master Xing Yun, who we're going to give a very brief introduction to him as well later. That's he met with the Pope. And also the practice through sports, just promoting, not just promoting, practicing, cultivating inner peace and wisdom through sports as well. And this is how, what we see Buddhism nowadays. Need to connect with the world, with the people, the younger generations, through art, through sports, music, everything that we do in life could be part of our practice. I know we had the coffee meditation here. Was it?
Compassion coffee.
Compassion coffee. Okay.
The coffee meditation. Yes, we had that as well. You're right.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we can talk about, this is coffee, how to mindfully cultivate wisdom through drinking coffee. Everything we do in life, as long as we are mindful and also be aware of the cravings for coffee or anything that cross our mind, and we are aware of that, and also have let it be inspiring to us and to give rise to wisdom. Then it could be part of our practice. And this picture shows the musical Siddhartha. We invited our students from the Guang University in the Philippines to travel to the States to give the show, the music. This is at the temple. This is the opening ceremony, but they performed at the Pasadena Center, the music center. That's the very successful performance that they brought to the States, and they also traveled to Las Vegas and to perform over there. So these are some major events. Oh, this one shows the volunteers, just like many of you guys here. This is the volunteers at the temple. They are all part of this big family. And this slide shows the founder, the master that met with the Pope, and he founded the Shan Buddhist order in 1967. So this year is going to be the 60th anniversary of Shan Buddhist order, and now this the temples of Shan Buddhist order are around the world with around 300 temples in all 5 continents. So he passed away when he was 97 years old, and even in his last days, he was still last few years. He was still writing the calligraphy every day, without even able to see, because he has diabetes, wasn't able to see. And however, he wrote it, and we don't have the calligraphy here. I saw some at the temple, in the temple, the calligraphy on the wall. That's his handwriting. And with that being said,
here there's one frame where there's
yeah, this is the smaller the calligraphy that he wrote. Of course, calligraphy, writing calligraphy is in Chinese Buddhism, and that is many Buddhist masters do it on a daily basis as they're part of a mindfulness training, like a meditation. This is a very brief introduction to what we do, which shows the way that we practice and promote Humanistic Buddhism. It could be a very dynamic or just individual practice of meditation, or the calligraphy writing, the musicals, and all these are tools or the means for the practitioner to give rise to wisdom, to cultivate inner peace. Now let's talk about inner peace and wisdom. As many of you have been practicing Buddhism, what do you think the differences are? The differences between the inner peace through the cultivation that people cultivate in their mind, with the peace that people would normally, feel at home without the practice. What do you think the differences are? Or any, please?
From what I'm reading, without the Buddhist perspective, what we call inner peace is just kind of quiet and absence of distractions and activities. What I get from the practice of the Buddhism is that it's more about developing a perspective of awareness that basically substitutes for the thinking that we develop with our intellect. So the idea is to switch from the identifying with our intellect to a broader perspective, which they call awareness or different labels as well. So it's a practice that is trying to release the previously conditioned mind to be more open and also a broader perspective of the oneness or the wholeness area.
Yeah, it is. I would say this is the very correct direction to cultivate the inner peace. And of course, in terms of exactly what inner peace people would experience, that really depends on each individual's practices. And however, this is it's a very good definition, the description of the differences. And what about others? Any other inputs? Please.
There's something that I've been sort of working with, where I'm trying to learn from reading, like somebody else mentioned, they're doing reading about how the inner peace comes from understanding that there's nothing to be lost, nothing to be gained. Those things that we feel that hurt because we've lost something, or afraid that we're going to do something, worried about the future, worrying about the past, but somehow in the present moment it just is. And that is what's called a wonderful thing. And that knowledge is peace. I'm not claiming I've arrived at all. It's a long way to go to get there, but I get little glimpses of it, I think, now and then.
It is a very, it's a wonderful way to describe it. Of course, just through reading, there's nothing that we can compare with the true experience. Everyone can, to different extents, we would be able to feel, as long as we, just really sit there and start to practice. And of course, when we talk about this wisdom and the inner peace, there are different ways, like even as we mentioned, through the sports, through the music, the play music. Because say each year, as we just mentioned, the youth symphony orchestra members at Hsi Fang Temple, they've been they are very young, young age, but they were able to be the focusing on the music, and they the process of playing the music is for someone to have the melody in their mind, and they're through many hours of practices to play the music through their hands, through their mind, body, and the body, and the musical instruments, and with the sound, and to meet with that melody playing in their mind. And of course, in the orchestra, that not just meet with the melody in their own mind, but also they have to be coordinates with other musicians, the sound making together. And this whole process, that's through the many hours and days and the practice, and they have to be very mindful at each, concentrated on the music and the skills. And of course, the difference between a regular musician and a spiritual practitioner, doing this, there are still differences, because the musicians would most likely focusing on just what they're doing, the skills, and the spiritual practice, on the other hand, is doing the same thing, but just one more thing to be aware of. Just knowing this is not just about how proficient, how good they are playing the music, and sometimes with a complacency or with a feeling of success, or even the desires to be doing it better and better, and even be more famous on doing this. There's a lot of mental activities, a lot of thoughts behind the scene. And for spiritual practitioners, and in any of these thoughts, just like doing meditation, we need to be aware of that. And of course, in meditation, I'm sure many of you have been practicing and have the experience of the meditation. In meditation, while we are be aware of our in and out breathing as a sensation in the nostril, or maybe at your chest. That's just we are aware of, use our mind to watch to be aware of that sensation. This is important. Not the concept of breathing, not like I know I'm breathing. It's a very sensation that we would physically feel in your nose when you, maybe right now, everyone can do a deep breath, and then you will use your nose. Close your mouth. You feel it? The air comes in the nostril. There's a tactile sensation inside of your nostril, right? We feel that. We are aware of that. It doesn't have any logical or any meaning or value. It's just that sensation. Be aware of that. And just keep doing that every time when you inhale, and you feel that air comes in to your nose. It has a little cooling sensation because of the air outside is cooler than our body temperature. And when you breathe out, and you feel the air coming out of your body, it's a little warm. Just gives you a signal to your mind that this is this. Just be aware of this as a part of the reality, because of it. The reason that we call that reality is because of it is a natural phenomenon. It doesn't depend on the values, the meanings that we give it to these the breath. And even though we know how important and meaningful the breath to our life, and without that we cannot live. But at just at this moment, this is how we are aware and also cultivate our awareness, if we call it. We can call that just for, as convenient means that we give it a name, label it. And we're aware of that. And musicians playing the music, either focusing on the sound and or the sensation as they are touching the instruments, and whichever they would choose to be mindful with. And that is how they can, the same time they are playing music, and that they are able to do that, not just with the mindfulness and the playing the well, but also make it a way to be a way to let go other thoughts, a way to let go all the worries, or the cravings. And the worries and cravings are all in our thoughts. Because of what we're letting go of the thoughts, be it good or bad, it's just thoughts. Whether it's good or bad to different people, that we would define it differently. And because with the musicians, of course, at the beginning, when they're trying to master the music and playing the instruments, there are lots of thoughts. But through years of practices, and eventually they have to let go of these. Just like a very proficient musician, they don't try to on the stage and performing the music and then still thinking how to use it. They have to let go. All these, the instruments are part of them. It's like a part of their body. And they just be immersed with that music, the melody.
May I share something?
Sure, please.
Because as you speak, I was also a professional dancer back in the day. I learned my technique, and then we learn the choreography, and then we dance with others. We feel their energy, and we just don't dance the movements. We don't just play the music.
Right.
We become the dance.
Yes.
With either our, if we're dancing with others, we become it.
Yes.
And I'm just relating so much because I think all art forms, we learn the technique and then we feel it. And there was one time when I really became one. The audience was there, I was dancing, and we were just one. I even forgot the choreography. I mean, I practiced it so often that I finally, thank goodness I did. Godness, did I say godness? Thank goodness. And, but yeah, there was no separation. It was all.
That is a wonderful experience. It is a very advanced level of the inner peace, the peace, because of even for meditators, at first they still have the sense of I am watching my breath as a sensation, but eventually we have to drop all these items on our mind, and to be not just be with this breathing, and eventually even just the breathing itself is kind of it's dropped by our mind. It's still there, but it will drop it because of without the disturbance of other thoughts, or even sense of I that is watching my the sensation of my breath and in the nostril. So that's eventually all these are dropped, and of course, this is the other sense, other feelings will arise. That's it just we arbitrarily, just to give it a name like a first jhana or a second jhana. But that's a labeling things, not necessarily to do that. But this is how we cultivate it, and anything we do repetitively and in a very through long hours, many times of practices, we are able to, as long as we drop all these sense of I or like the fame that we're trying to gain through these practices. Like this is like as you mentioned, that reminds me the people practicing yoga. It's the same thing, right? So this is it can sometimes like this is also like driving, because we all drive. Most of the people drive, and at the beginning we learn how to drive. How to turn, how to the maneuver, and that's eventually we forget how to drive. We just drive, right? We even talk on the phone to drive. That's not recommended, of course. But we do that, and we already, let go all the skills. This is part of us, going somewhere through this tool. So this is how our mind functions. With more and more practice, repetitively, and our mind would just tend to ignore it if it's always, because of it. Our mind cannot be just a process too much information at the same time, right? It's when we're driving or people doing sports, especially the professional athletes, they're through long time of practice, and eventually they forget all the skills. They just know the goal, what to achieve. That is the only thing on their mind. And of course, on their mind is that there's still a goal to achieve, and the practitioners, and even this, they have to drop it. They have to drop, this is the all the behind scene motives. So that is how the inner peace that we're trying to achieve, and then we're gonna, when you talk about awareness, which is a label that we in Buddhism, we, at the Buddha's teaching, we cannot pinpoint anything as I or the awareness. It's just like the breath, the sensation of the breathing, and eventually even this is dropped as a mental phenomenon. It's being dropped, and this is the mind and going into the deeper level of consciousness. Please.
So I'm tracking with you on, you don't have to worry about an I concept, if you don't have to worry about the craving and the aversions, that gets some inner peace. Can you share more about the wisdom side? What is the connection between wisdom and what kind of wisdom are we talking about?
This is what I'm trying to, when I heard you saying awareness, this is I'm trying to touch on as a topic. Yes.
About
The peace.
Because
Okay.
normally in life, is you receive the peace, you need the peace, depending on the environment, and then you require to be, how should she say, a room, quiet, everything outside to be in peace in yourself.
Right.
But when you get in the practice of Buddhism, I understand that part is the peace is inside.
Right.
Wherever is outside, the storm is outside, you can get in peace inside.
Yeah.
And then you leave all outside. The music you're talking about is when the performance live from inside, and when you got it, the performance. In the other case, is mechanical repetition of the performance. And in any moment, it won't transmit nothing.
Yeah.
And that is the difference.
And still, we need to move forward from peace to wisdom. And so this is the peace first, as you said, from outside, from the environment. Like not just quiet, not necessarily quiet environment. Sometimes like we go to the beach, just seeing, hearing the ocean, the water, sea water pounding, the shore, and the beach, and also seeing all the kids are playing there. It's not necessarily no sound, quiet, without sound, but it just gives you a very peaceful and very, that's sometimes we call, to some extent, this is a happiness, that very natural, at ease feeling at that moment. And we call that peace. And of course, this is peace. And of course, it's our inner peace, especially at the beginning level of the practice. We very much depend on the environment to be peaceful, to induce our peaceful feelings inside of us. And of course, this is here. There are this type of peace is still very subject to be disturbed by anything, the big changes in the environment. Like all of a sudden the police car with the sirens on, just disturb this peace, or something happened, or like some thoughts come, comes to our mind, just that we normally feel pressure with. These things, this type of peace is basically a feeling. It's still a lot more for the practitioner to through the training, through the very intentional training, to go deeper and deeper, eventually be able to not be easily disturbed, and also gives rise to wisdom. And wisdom. So when we are cultivating, practicing the inner peace, or sometimes there are okay, I'll talk about the other ways shortly. When we are practicing, say, either the music, dance, or meditation, this is a kind of a behind the scene. We are also cultivating the awareness. At first, it's very clear that we are aware of the sensation of your breathing in your nose, but you don't think about it, but you're using it. You're knowing it. And just like a dancer, you know all the moves. You don't focus on, oh, I am focusing on this move. You don't think about I. Because otherwise, that is an item mental, the item on your mind disturbing your concentration on the moves, right? So you just do the moves. And eventually, but however, as a logical analysis, we know our mind is working on it, right? This is the awareness is in action. And even when we drop one by one, first drop the moves, drop the skills, drop all the knowledge in that moves, and eventually drop the dancer as an item, as an item. Here we don't have to say whether, philosophically, there's no I, there's no self. We don't have to, this in Buddhism, actually traditional practice. The Buddha doesn't talk about. He didn't talk about this non-self philosophically. It just through the practice. When you drop the first all the thoughts, disturbing thoughts, and eventually you drop the meditative object, say the dancing skills, the music, the musical skills, or the breathing as a sensation. When you drop it, and eventually you even drop, there's an I who is watching it, and this sense of I does not appear to you. It's through your experience rather than philosophical analysis. So this is the, however, this sense of, this is our, sometimes we call it the true nature awareness, or Buddha nature, is eventually becoming, so through this, it's become a more and more keen and sharp. And not because of life after life, we all are depending on our logical thinking to live. Anything that we see, we hear, we have to make sense of it. We have this, our inner world in our mind, in our brain. And we're, through sound, through what we see, through the six senses, with the six objects, and constructing this mental world. And through this spiritual practice, we're letting go of all this world. And we are giving rise to this wisdom. So it's not, this is it sounds like there's something, it's called wisdom or awareness, but actually we don't have to feel that, whether it exists or not. We, as a Buddhism, as a practice, we don't have to get ourselves into this philosophical thinking. This is it just go into it. And once you drop it, whether you call it a non-self, or it's a still self, or some different type of self, you don't have to philosophically labeling it. It's just eventually this sense of self, of which behind the scene there's an I, there's cravings, there's a love, hate, and anything will eventually will just fade away. And this is how we, through the cultivation of inner peace, to cultivate wisdom. which we can say not necessarily the opposite of self, but because of self is being dropped. Anything that what we like, dislike, anything that seems meaningful to you or nonsense to you or good or bad or evil or the lofty and anything that we life after life we label all these and mental or physical objects are being dropped because of these are all created by ourselves or and then eventually or maybe we inherit from others as a part of the culture or education. This is all subjective and also subject to change from time to time, and anything are keep changing, and these are what normally philosophically people call the self or I, or values or meanings. These are need to be through the practices to let go. A very good example that the lady mentioned through dancing or through music. Do we have musicians here? Yeah, we do have a musician here. Can you share with us your experience as a musician to play music? When you are there times that you completely immersed with the music without feeling of you are playing? Have you been experiencing that?
Yeah, some points.
Some points.
I used to play violin when I was younger. I play very sporadically now, but there have been some points where I'm not thinking about the notes. I'm just doing it. And I have dance background as well, so I understand what you're saying too. It's like if you overthink it, then you mess up. You just have to let go of it and trust that your practice has been ingrained and you can just perform.
Right. Because when you overthink it, that basically that's with some thoughts or your goals or your this sense of self, and you just step in, that would mess it up.
I had another thing maybe other musicians or artists can feel is true, because I was also involved in improvisational dance, and you have to be in the moment and not in the past or in the future. You are right there, you're feeling it, your breath, your movement, but you are also aware of others that are around you, so you are you're one with all there is.
Yeah.
And now I'm realizing this was back 8 years ago. Now I'm realizing.
But yeah, everyone has can in their own careers or life would be able to experience this. As a performer, you have to forget about the audiences. You're just with your dance, your music, your what you're doing, and this is that moment of non-self. It's precious, and also we don't call it. Of course, in life we don't call it spiritual. We don't call it cultivation, but actually, in Buddhist practice, we don't have to name it as a spiritual practice or a cultivation. It just, we need to be understand what's going on with this moment and with our mind, with and going deeper and deeper into these and make it as a practice, and to let go all the burdens in our thoughts that we give to ourselves, or get it from the our culture, the world, and in humanistic Buddhism, and how we as how we cultivate it, because we cannot meditate or doing dancing 24/7, and we have to make everything we do, every moves, and anything we every moment as a part of this practice. And but this is actually it sounds like sounds difficult, but actually people are still doing that, are able to doing that. Say when you're doing the training yourself as a dancer, professional dancer, or musician, or artist, and I'm sure say before your big performance, your big show, and even when you are eating your lunch, the meals, or you're in your sleep, in your dreams, and at each moment you are thinking about practicing. You are doing that in your mind. So this is how your mind is concentrating. Not necessarily doing it with your body, but your mind is always with it. And this is how we, eventually goes to the as a spiritual practice, the disciplines, the concentration, and eventually, and it goes to the wisdom, the three teachings in Buddhism as a foundation. So it's not necessarily make it looks like a religious practice, but in each moment, in everything we do in life, we can do that. We can cultivate that. And of course, the big difference. First, we still need to consider we are in the big web of a lot of phenomena, a lot of people, a lot of things. So we don't hurt other lives. We don't, this goes to the 5 precepts, right? We don't, the 5 precepts, no killing, no stealing, no lying, no intoxication of the mind, and no sexual misconduct. Now, all these would hurt the big web of conditions that we're in. So this is and also when the people are doing that, definitely people would consciously or subconsciously have the burdens, have the pressure, and that would take an extra amount of energy and the practices to deal with those pressures, the very stressful things on the mind. So not just because that they are immoral in our cultural and social values, but also this is because they are immoral, because of they are when hurting other people, and that would definitely give people the inner imprints in their mind to deal with in the future. Because everything we do, because just as when we're saying this practice, eventually we're dealing with all the items on the mind. We have to drop them. However, if people are not careful about what they're doing in life. They're putting a lot of things in there to disturb the peace of their mind. So it's make it much harder to practice, to cultivate the mind. I'm not sure if I answered your question as what exactly wisdom is, because it's behind the scene.
Right.
You can't directly work on it because once you work on it, it becomes a mental object. You have to be dropped.
That's what I guess I'm trying to ferret out. And what I'm hearing is that wisdom is tossed around for different purposes. I mean, philosophy, they talk about wisdom, but they're talking about a logical system, which is my conceptual system. Then you have the wisdom traditions, which have a lot of rules about what you should do and shouldn't do, like the precepts or the 10 Commandments, all that stuff. But what I'm hearing here is wisdom is more like the creative life force that is out there that we don't see because we are busy in our mind, thinking concepts, going for cravings, aversions, building an I that doesn't really exist. So you have all this noise we got ourselves. We really can't see or hear or experience this wisdom because we got all this chaos, which the goal of inner peace is to quiet that chaos and then be able to sense it. It's already there. It's always there. It's always been there. Maybe intuition once in a while gives you a taste of it, but for the most part, you don't see it because it's not found through the logic of philosophy or the rule setting of traditions. It's more like it's there all the time, but we can't see it because we don't let ourselves see it.
All the time, yes.
Yeah.
Well, you're still thinking too much. Once you're thinking about it, it is a mental object that you need to drop for you to practice to drop. So this is the very the perspective that we that is different from a philosophy. When you think, when you labeling it, when you trying to understand it, your mind is in that philosophy as an object, as a mental object, as a thought, series of thoughts. So and all these thoughts will affect the peace. And the peace, it's also not like an object, or it's just with less and there are much deeper levels of consciousness and with countless objects because of this life after life, because as the Buddha described, our lives is countless in the past, and without an awakening, and countless in the future. And they're not just say in one life, just in one day, how many things, how many people we see, how many things we do, how many thoughts cross our minds. Countless. All these are being stored in your mind. So without, just through this cultivation, once the wisdom, as a label, we don't have to call it wisdom, the ability to be aware, and will overcome, will let go the habit of thinking, analyzing, and even once this arises, it will be there, and you don't have to drop mental blocks one by one. It will not just depend in the shape, in the process of storing process. It will be awakened.
I see it as a blending becoming one with the moment, whether it be physical or sound, whatever. You're giving yourself up to this moment where you're one with whatever it is that you're doing, that you've lost yourself and you've lost thought.
Yeah.
You just feel, you have that peace.
Yeah, this is the, but we need to understand this because of why there are so many great artists who have not, none of them maybe, have achieved awakening. Since they have so many, the great artists must have tons of these experiences because of, they are using these as tools to achieve other goals in life, like fame, like fortune, like wealth. It's, this is the, they use it as a tool subconsciously. But in this practice, that is a tool to give rise to wisdom. We have to let go of all these worldly gains to be as goals. And so this is the fundamental difference between these cultivation, spiritual cultivation, and worldly practices.
Thank you. I'd like to also chime in on the wisdom, because I think that's a very interesting point to ask, right? Especially since it's part of the title. What I'm gathering from everybody's contribution is that the wisdom appears as part of the diligent effort of the practice. That you practice so well, so much, so often that you create what we're commonly familiar with, muscle memory, if you will. And then this muscle memory allows you to let go and have what may feel as an emptiness of just clarity, as was explained by Colette with her dancing, the person in the back with music, and what I was trying as a non-musician, think of what we call in and also American culture, in the zone. You're in the zone, you're so, whatever it is you're doing, whether you're typing, whether you're gardening, whatever you're doing, you are oneness, as Linda was talking about, that you're just connected, where this wisdom sprouts. You just understand, but without labels, without constructs, without things, you just are. So I think in what I was hearing Venerable Hui Dong says that as we diligently practice and are doing the day and repetition, as our artists explain, that the one way for you to succeed in this wisdom attainment is to just let go. Because if you think about it, if you let the judgment come in, and I have to do it this way and this way and this move, that's when the mechanism of the logic and the mind is actually interrupting that clear path of that clarity that the wisdom can bring into our life. And it's so ephemeral, right? It can just come in and then fade away for some, or, yeah. So thank you, because I'm also kind of trying to think this.
That was wonderful. I'm sure you were mentioning the muscle memory as a metaphor.
Yes.
Because this is the wisdom. It doesn't not like a residual of something, but it's just that we all are have the ability. We all have the ability to sense, to know, to be aware, but we never pay attention in our past lives or in the past to know the importance of it. And we all are all are after what's after we sense them and give the meaning to it. We're after the meaning of what we sense, which are transient, changes at all times, and also we cannot possess them for good, and it's like a big dream. This is why we call it a big dream. Even no matter all the physical body, this life, this all the wealth, all the object, all the people that we love, everything, or just come and go, and just like in our minds, it's like a big bubble. It's like a dream, and not because of they cannot last for good. It also because of our feelings about them cannot last. We change our mind all the times. Maybe today we like them, and tomorrow we hate them. So this is it's because of everything. We, through our six senses, and we are sending the labeling to our mind, and then we subjectively decide we love it or we hate it, and then all these mental things constantly change. I don't want to oversimplify this whole process of practice because of it's a much more complicated, and this is why we have to be able to understand it and practice it in our own ways. This is, goes to the Humanistic Buddhism, and also this is a much more risk aspect for us to understand and to practice. Say, sometimes people call the merits. There's the cultivate the good conditions or the affinities with the world, and this is why we do say it is important to practice the three acts of goodness. Say good words, to have a positive, to always have a positive thoughts, and always to do good deeds. Sounds easy, but it's actually it is throughout all our lives, all aspects, because of everything we live, we do in life are through the mental, physical, bodily, and verbal actions. And doing good means first we need to do that and to let go of the self, so that we always do it for others. And secondly, we need to be mindful to do that. And just to say good words is not easy. So can we guarantee ourselves that we always say good words, encouraging words, kind words to anyone, even to your enemies, even to somebody just verbally or physically attacked you? It's not easy. But anything we do, we can logically say, okay, because he's an evil person, he's just a pure evil. But anything that when we are saying this, there's a hate arises in our minds. But we justify it because he is evil, and so that I have these labels that arises in my mind, and we justify it with good reasons. But actually, it still exists in the mind as a negative item there. And if we carry out the attacking words or actions, and those will have a much stronger imprint in our mind. Even after life, we bury it deeper in the consciousness with all other good things we do in our life as imprints to cover it up. It's still there. It's waiting for the conditions to ripe to bring out the fruition, the consequences. So there's no way for us to escape from the seeds we planted in our own mind. It's only for these seeds to wait for the right moment, the right conditions to come into reality. So this is why killing is such a very great the offense to our own mind, to our own spiritual practice, to our own awakening. And misleading words is all behind there. There are tons of thoughts that we planted into our mind. So this is here. This is why it's such a serious offense, and to this practice, to ourselves, and.
Each time you touch the phone.
Okay. Anyhow, this is the practice of Humanistic Buddhism. Is because anything we do it at the temple, at the in the organization, very systematically. We need to have a certain. Actually, we don't need slides. We just we need to have our goals so that people can work together collectively and through a systematic way, just like the artist and the dancing our dancing lady. She cannot like today I dance, tomorrow I sing, and the day after tomorrow I will do the violin. You can't. We can that way. We cannot really getting deep into it. So this is why the Guang Shan, the Buddhist order, we have 4 missions through cultural events. And how do we cultural events, education, charity, and also the traditional the traditional practices, mostly in the collective way, because of the that's how. But it doesn't mean we ignore we put less importance to the individual practice as a meditation or chanting or and for the Buddhist names. That's the cultural events. Say just now we see the in any big events there are just hundreds of volunteers working behind the scene for days after nights, and it's a many months to prepare it and to collectively to have meetings. I'm sure you had this our volunteers here do it all the time. You have meetings and discussions and what you do when there's a big group come and who's going to taking care of the receiving them, the videotaping them, taking photos, and publishing all the news information, and in everything we need to do it to organize it in a very organized way. So this is the and at the same time, and when we collaborate with others, with other people, volunteers, and there's a lot of chances for us to disagree with each other, and even argue with each other, and even being emotional, in that while we're doing this. And all these are a good opportunity for us to understand ourselves, what we buried in our mind as the seeds in our past. And those are, sometimes we call it, that's my personality, that's my character. I'm just very good at arguing with other people. But that means we did it in the past, not just in this life, maybe, in other lives as well. And that's a good way for us to discover what we did, who we were, what we sent into our consciousness in the past. And so this is why we can say at the same time we are spreading the Dharma through these collective efforts, say the cultural events, the education, or the charitable programs. And it's the same time that we are benefiting others, the world, and we are also knowing ourselves. So this is a very practical way, and also this is so individual practice is important, and connecting with the world with these programs is it's very crucial for us to understand ourselves, because when we just doing the individual practices of meditating in your room, you cannot really discover your true self, because you never argue with yourself. It's very easy to get ourselves in trouble when we work with other people. So this is the another even more important aspect of this practice is with individual practice. It's no matter how good we feel about our own practice, no matter how good, how deep we're in our meditative concentration, and we are, this is the sense of self, the sense of this complacency, or the sense of self. This is a sense of I'm doing it right, I'm doing and letting go. It's a very through our, very following the maps, the lines that we set for ourselves subjectively, and we cannot really let go this part, no matter how subtle it is. It's there. So when this is why in the traditional, in the past, those the Chan masters, after maybe 20 or 30 years of practice at the temple in their own monastery, they have to go. Their masters will kick them out to travel to learn from other masters, or even at that time, maybe 1,000 years ago, Tang Dynasty, when they say, their masters say, okay, you have to learn from another master in other province. This it doesn't mean just to go there to learn. You have to walk there through the whether it's over many mountains away. That's they have to do that, and it's very likely they're gonna die on the road to there. So this is the all the koans, the Chan stories, sounds so beautiful, and with all the names of those famous masters, probably they're the only ones left from those travelings, succeeded in the traveling, or succeeded in their practice, being recorded. So, so that's we have to, go out of our comfort zone. This sense of self, the world that we created in our mind for ourselves, just go out there and to very bravely face the real world. Yeah, please.
So after about a year of pretty diligent study and practice, I think I can say with some confidence that I will not attain enlightenment in this lifetime. And I think most people feel the same way. But should we expect to hit inner peace and wisdom in this lifetime? Or is that another one of those, really it's going to be lifetimes and kalpas, or do I need to be more diligent in my cultivation in this lifetime?
There was a disciple of the Buddha, and later he attained awakening. And at first he was very lazy, and got scolded by the Buddha, and he started to practice diligently and lost his eyesight. He became blind, and however he practiced, and the Buddha told him, it's just like the string of the instrument, the musical instrument, and once it's too tight, it will break. If it's too loose, you cannot make sound of it. So, if we need to practice, be very mindful, but we don't want to give ourselves too much pressure, and make the string of the instrument too tight. And we need to be confident of ourselves, about ourselves, to practice. And this peace and wisdom is, as long as we are practicing, and it's always on the road. It's always it's just one more step. It is a one more step to the destiny, to the goal. It's a long journey. Not necessarily to be achieved in this lifetime. And we know, as long as we know we are doing it in accordance with the teaching, the five, not reaching all the precepts, and always being mindful of what we're doing, always be kind to other people, never to just give our this mind and to leave and to plant the bad seeds in there, and we are closer to the goal, because this goal is to let go. It's not something out there. So when we are mindful, when we are kind to others, when we are helping others, which is helping others is also a dynamic way to let go of ourselves, because of that we have to sacrifice our energies and convenience for ourselves. So, and we are closer. So, and we don't have to give ourselves a very specific goal to outline that awakening or wisdom or inner peace as something, because of to anyone, to each person, it is different. The feeling, so the understanding. Maybe other people feel very deep in their peaceful minds, but it's maybe just like a fraction of yours. But you don't have confidence of that your own feelings. So this is that very thought as not being confident as a feeling or thoughts as a mental object, as a thought, you need to let it go. You don't have to dream about next moment I'm gonna be awakened, or I'll never be awakened, because all these are thoughts. Just let it go. Just do what we need to do at each moment. That's it. Just like the lady behind there. If she said, if she overthinks about it, and she will mess it up.
So are you saying the letting go leads to like the inner peace?
The inner peace is just a description. We don't have to label it. Yeah, that we have to let it go as well, if we think about it. But if you just feel, like we feel ourselves improved from yesterday, from the previous moment, and that is the first thing. It's something. It shows that our dedication, our mindfulness, and our cultivation, but also that is something in the past that we have to let it go as a feeling. Yes.
So back when you were talking about you do practice and then you sort of drop something, like drop the idea that the deep wisdom or that sort of
let it go, yeah.
That somehow you're arriving. It reminded me of sometimes it's probably a misconception, but when I think of Buddhism, sometimes it just has this appearance that it's rejecting life or not not accepting this life as it is. So that creates a little bit of a fear and a doubt in me that pulls me back from practice. And because I also have this idea, forgive me for overthinking, because I probably have. I have this sense of that life is a gift, right? It's something to have gratitude for, from the divine, from God, from the universe, whatever it is. It's whatever it is, it's okay. It doesn't matter. But to be grateful for it and to honor that gift by living it well, right? And so if I feel like I'm going down a path that's going to sort of like reject that or make it go away or that then I don't want to do it. So maybe you could explain how it could be wrong, but that the practice actually eventually leads you to be completely free to live this very life that we are in the present moment exactly as it is. Perhaps.
Yeah. What you're trying to achieve in what you just said is like a Chan master's practice. Just in each moment, we're trying to be, carefree. Just be with it. We don't have to think about, am I awakened or not? Just be with it. Because without the thought, it's a burden. It's a disturbance. And it is true that Buddhism, in the Buddhist teaching, as a way of pedagogy, anything that we hold dear to, attached to, will become the source of suffering, because things will change, because we're going to lose it anyway, including our own body, our life. So that is we don't, because when we're feeling it's negative, it's because we're holding the opposite of saying as true or as a positive. And we have a standing point in our mind, and then we're holding truth as truth, holding it as truth. and then we're trying to be against of the opposite of same. So many people, like even the professors, and sometimes we talk to the professors in the universities. You know, that's many professors that talk about Buddhism that way, saying the Buddhist teaching is a very it's a negative, seeing everything as suffering. We don't have to judge it as right or wrong, or whether it's true, but we can either experience it or think about, analyze our own experiences and our the experiences that we can understand. Maybe sometimes we never experience this, like death in this life, but we can think about it, whether it is true, whether it will come to me, whether the people that our beloved ones will sooner or later will leave us, whether anything we love in the like in the past that we will become something that when we eventually we don't feel much about it or even don't care about it. So this is the so this is whether this is the suffering, or this is just the way it is, or just like in Humanistic Buddhism, Master Hsi, the founder, he always described life is he doesn't say life is all suffering. He says all these are nutritions. All these are steps for us to go up, to go higher, to improve ourselves, to understand, to improve our wisdom. And so he saw what some professors taught, or some people talked about Buddhism, and he used a different a way of teaching, different pedagogy. He doesn't call it suffering anymore, because this word itself, this label, gives other people negative feelings. We don't have to use it. Whether we how do we live a carefree life in each moment, that is really depends on how we cultivate our mind. Because a lot of things that we feel stressful about, if we really look at it, we really think it through from its causes, from its possible consequences, from how our mind, our own attitudes to it, and how it's happened not just to me, but also to others, and why I feel that way. Because a lot of time we don't really understand, think about it and understand it in our mind. We just naturally or habitually think it as all other people would feel about it, without our own experience. And sometimes it not even happen to me, like death to us, right? So this is a lot of things that we just, just a lot of views, thoughts, understandings, or misunderstandings, misconceptions. It's hiding in our minds and just randomly comes out and reacts to things we experience in our own life, and they give us a feeling, and then we just follow the feeling and thoughts, and they feel moody. So So if for the Chan masters and to be able to live a carefree life, and there's no magic for them to do anything better than us. They just do one thing right. They don't think about it. But it's hard. It's very difficult for us to not to think about it. And so he just do that right. Yeah.
I find it very useful when all these thoughts come in my head to just say, well, that's a thought, and then kick it aside. And I've had that thought, I'm not going to keep it I'm not going to obsess about it.
Yeah.
And I understand that's all it is.
Although to a lot of people, it's not an easy task not to think about it. So this is how we, in meditation, we constantly train our mind. Like when we are trying to focus on the in and out breathing as a sensation in the nostril, and a lot of thoughts will come to attack our mind. And this process as meditation is a process of not to think about it, not to react to those thoughts, and bring our attention back to the in and out breathing, right? So this can be trained. Without this training, if we just say, I don't want to think about it, this is a negative, this is something I don't, this is logically I don't need to worry about, but most people cannot achieve that without training. So this training itself, there's nothing nothing mysterious, nothing as what we normally think as a spiritual practice, as a very spiritually lofty, esoteric, or something we give it a very spiritual good name, labeling it. We don't have to do that, or we don't have to label it as a bad thing. It's just it. It's a training that how we train our mind not to think about it. So it's when you, if we want to live a carefree life, first, of course, this is here. We don't think about something that we don't think about. We don't want to think about it. But if it is, we still need to be responsible for what we need to be responsible for. Right? So this is the we need to use our conscious mind to understand our life, because we do live in a this world with responsibilities, right? As a family, as a the worker, co-worker, or a person in the community. So this is the by recognizing this. But how do we do that? This goes to the Humanistic Buddhism, because we're trying to not just like doing the meditation, train our mind not to think about what's I'm not supposed to think about, but also like how to treat everything we do, like work or life we live, or all the things we do as responsibilities, and we do it in the carefree way, without overthink about it, without putting too much pressure to ourselves and to others. Sometimes we do, not just to put pressure to ourselves and also give others a lot of pressure. So we need to be have wisdom to do that. So that wisdom is different from the wisdom that we talked about earlier through the inner peace. It's a wisdom that how we live a very responsible and carefree life. in this world.
There are many lives, and then in each life you learn something, and you growing in your spirit. So, you know that. But what is happening at the end?
What happened?
At the end.
At the end,
you're growing,
there's no end.
Growing.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's a consciousness itself. Like, we cannot, let's just say this. We cannot prove there's an end or not, right? They're just, when you think about it, whether there's an end or not, as a thought, you need to drop it. And then you don't have to prove it. And there's no way for you to prove it. So, yeah, so we don't have to get into that philosophical thinking, right? Because we just go to this very moment.
But you know that you arrive to Buddha at the end of this.
Yeah, the Buddha, he taught us this way of practice. He didn't talk about, because there are 10 or 14 questions he doesn't answer, right? There are 14, some, you know, according to different resources, there are questions, either 10 or 14 questions, like what's after nirvana? What's nirvana feels like? It's like nirvana is when you drop all the thoughts, including this one, you know, then there's no need to answer. It's for us to do it and experience it. So, any questions?
We have about 5 more minutes.
Okay, 5 more minutes, great. And so that's probably it.
So it's not much of a question, but something that I'm processing is, so all that you're saying is just let go. That's all you're saying.
No.
Or that's
I thought,
kind of.
I said a lot of things.
That's a key point, but not all you're saying.
Yeah, no, but like, not all you're saying, but kind of like the main theme of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can say that. As what we normally say, the Buddha's teaching is letting go. Yeah. It's a process of letting go. And don't have to describe what's after letting go. Because we need to let go those thoughts. Then with the attitude of letting go, we can live a carefree and still need to be responsible for what we are responsible for. Of course, this is the everything we talked about this afternoon is that philosophy. And we need to put forth our efforts and start to do it and make it a real practice rather than an understanding. Because if there are, I'm sure, any understanding or philosophy or teaching, if we don't do it, it will just become a view, a thought, that eventually we need to drop, or become a burden to us, a source of suffering, because we're going to hold it true, to argue with other people, to fight against the other thoughts and views. And that's become philosophy. Hsi Fang Temple here provides a lot of the different opportunities for us to practice it in different ways. There are meditation classes and discussions and the reading of the Buddha's teachings and deepen our thoughts and understandings, and also through the four missions and cultural education, those programs, and to outreach to the communities and more people. And the compassion is another very important aspect of the mind, comes from our mind. To cultivate that, we don't have to have time and to dive into it today. But that is a very practical way to train the mind to letting go of the sense of self, to see what, through the sacrifice for oneself, so that eventually give us not just through intellectual thinking, but through the action, which will definitely bring more impact into our own mind, through and through the actions to fight against this sense of self. This is all these and the programs that we call it under the name of Humanistic Buddhism. All these programs are very valuable in our practices. We need to kind of have different tools in our box to fight against all different types of sense of self. Because just one type cannot fight against the countless lives of seeds that we buried in our mind, our consciousness. All right. Thank you very much for being here with us and to share our thoughts and understanding. Hopefully, we are all on the path to awakening. Hopefully, I'll see some of you will attend soon, awakening soon, and we're gonna all learn from you.
I want to thank again our guest speaker today, Venerable Hui Dong. Thank you for coming today. It's another heartfelt applause. Thank you. I also want to thank all of you for coming here today and being present and hearing the talk on wisdom and inner peace, especially those of you who participated, those of you who were engaged and nodding, and just really we thank you, because this is part of our Sangha practice all together. So thank you for coming here today.